Canon just released two new exciting products. First of them is a full-frame camera Canon R6 Mark III, and the second one is a really exciting lens, 45mm f1.2, which is small, which is a good quality and really cheap. I had the pleasure to grab those new products in my hands and test them in practice, and in this video I will tell you everything I learned about them with lots of samples and my opinions, so stay tuned till the end. My name is Chris Bassel and I am working as a professional journalist for over 15 years so far. I had the pleasure to test almost all good cameras, lenses and smartphones on the market during that time. Now I'm working on my new private YouTube channel, so I kindly ask you to leave me thumbs up and subscribe if you like it. So let's now focus on the two new exciting releases from Canon. I will start this material with telling about the prices of those new products, then I will focus more on Canon R6 Mark III, and at the end about the new lens. So just at the very beginning, I have a great news for you because those new products have a really good prices. Canon R6 Mark III is around 10% cheaper than R6 Mark II when it was released almost 2 years ago. It should cost around €3,000 or $3,500. When it comes to the new lens, this is also a great price for such a bright lens, which is small, which is compact, lightweight and offers a really nice quality. Let's now talk about the new Canon R6 Mark III. I am a long-time user of Canon cameras. I had this R6 and R6 Mark II for a long time. When I grabbed the R6 Mark III first time in my hands, I felt like I am at home. It's basically almost the same body design as it was in the previous generations. It also means that if you have some, for example, camera cage or some other additional accessories, you will be able to use them with the third generation of this camera. I also noticed that it seems that this camera is better built, like more solid when it is in your hands. I felt like there's something a little bit different there, and it's true because the Canon people, they told me that this new version has basically metal chest inside, like the frame. What is new is that this camera uses a metal part of the backside. Previously it was plastic polycarbon. It's still polycarbon at the top plate and the front part, but what is also new is that inside you also have this kind of special metal plate which should help to reduce the heat. You instantly will notice that there is this red tiny light in the front of the camera, which is super useful when you want to record yourself. Speaking about video makers, you'll be all very happy to hear that R6 Mark III now uses a full-size HDMI port instead of micro HDMI. I don't have to tell you why it's so important, because so many people hate this micro HDMI and were asking Canon to change that for years, and finally they did it. Also, Canon uses now a different kind of battery, different but not different. It's exactly Canon LP6P version, the same as you can use in R5 Mark II. Probably you will be able to use those older batteries in R6 Mark III. Only the new version will be able to support the highest frame rates of a video. With a third generation of this camera, there's only one SD card slot. The second one is CF Express Type B, which is great from the one side because those memory cards are very fast and well built, but on the other hand they are very expensive. You need to use them if you want to record for example, raw video internally or some high frame rates. If you don't want to use those high frame rates videos, you still need to buy this expensive card if you want to work with two memory card slots. So that's basically all of changes outside of the camera. It's still the same nicely designed body of the camera, beautiful grip at the top, which joystick at the back side, and all those elements that the previous generation had. I really like this camera. I think it's one of the best designed cameras on the market. It has the same electronic viewfinder. Same applies to the 3-inch LCD screen, and again, it's a really nice display. So let me now tell you more about what is the most important in this camera, because so many things changed inside it. But before that, just a quick disclaimer. I was invited to like a pre-release event in Poland. They didn't pay me for that. They didn't pay me even to go there, and they have no influence on the content of this video. And also those cameras we had the pleasure to test, they were not a final versions. All those pictures you will see here in this video are JPEGs straight out of the camera, but this is not a final maybe quality of those pictures. Also, I couldn't record any menu or autofocus, how it handles. So Canon decided to use a completely new sensor. Well, new as for this series. They used this sensor in a professional cinema camera C50. And that means that this is a full frame 32.5 megapixels sensor. It's not stacked sensor, it's not partially stacked. So most probably that's the classic but high quality FSI sensor. And this is a very important change in the philosophy of R6 series, because previous models, they had 20 and 24 megapixel sensors. And that was okay for many people, but I personally even know some friends who were saying that, well, 24 is too less, because I want to have the option to crop my images, or I want to offer my clients a higher resolution pictures, and that was not possible with R6 Mark II or Mark I. On the other hand, it was possible to buy R5 or R5 Mark II, but those cameras were much more expensive. So what Canon did is that they put R6 Mark III exactly in the middle of those two series, R6 Mark II, R5 Mark II, R6 Mark III. 32.5 megapixels is really well thought resolution, which gives you not so big files as 45 megapixels, but on the other hand also it gives you this opportunity to crop them, and it's basically more universal. Camera offers up to 40 frames per second with continuous autofocus, and that's quite impressive, especially that they improved the maximum number of frames that camera can record using the maximum speed. So now it's around 150 frames without lowering the speed. They also added a very useful function. It's called, I think, pre-capture or something like that. Basically, it's also used in R1 series cameras. It works in a way that if you press the release button to the half, the camera all the time records all those frames constantly. And if you press the shutter release fully, then it records frames before it was released, which helps you to be ready to capture the most important moment and do not lose any frames. When it comes to picture quality, it seems that is really good. I didn't notice any really decrease when it comes to noise. It seems that this camera operates at the same high level as previous generation. Of course, I wasn't able to check the raw files. These are all here JPEGs, which are corrected in the camera. I will be able to check that later, but at the hands-on review, I can tell you that it looks really good. Even ISO 3200 is nice, is clean. 6400 looks really good. Above that, you can really see that the camera is trying to improve the quality, so it's hard to say. I like the Canon colors. You have a really nice quality, nice colors in JPEGs. The autofocus function uses dual pixel CMOS AF Mark II. It works really good when it comes to photo and video, basically very similar to the previous generation. I didn't notice any significant change. Same with image stabilization. Canon says it is up to 8.5 EV. It's working really well. Not so well as Lumix cameras, but it is good. There is a huge change when it comes to the video, because Canon R6 Mark III offers an open gate recordings, and additionally it can record 7K up to 60p RAW internally. Of course, there are some 4K options like 4K 60p without crop, but we had that already in the previous generation. Canon also added a C-Log 2, there's also C-Log 3, and basically everything what we had in the previous generation. And open gate is something that is quite important for many creators these days. I like that Canon added it. I personally use Lumix cameras and they all full frame cameras have this open gate. It helps you to have your content more universal. You can basically use the whole full frame that you pay for and record the highest resolution video you can get out of this sensor. And then you can crop it 60:9 horizontally, and additionally you have more space to crop it vertically 9:16. The problem I noticed here is that, which is typical for Canon, is that they blocked some options together. The first example is that if you want to use open gate, in my Lumix camera all the formats are together. When it comes to Canon, of course, the open gate is hidden, it's not available. You need to go to the menu, go down and activate, turn on open gate function, and then go back to it, and you will see that there is no other options. There's only one open gate codec, resolution. Basically that's just the one function. If you want to switch between open gate and some other resolutions or codecs, it's not so fast and easy. There are a lot of different codecs you can use in this camera, for example long up, all intra in many different versions. There's 8-bit, 10-bit, 4:0, 4:2, but all of them also are somehow connected to each other, and when you use one frame rate you cannot use this codec, if you want some other you cannot this one, and you never know how it is connected to each other, and it's quite confusing. On the other hand, I noticed that when I used SD card, in the menu it was possible to choose RAW 4K, the highest possible quality, and in the menu it was available even though there was no CF Express card in the camera. And when I tried to record it, the camera of course refused to do that because you don't have CF Express fast card. Why did the camera allow me to choose this 7K? I don't understand. On the other hand, if I wanted to have 4K 120p for example, it was gray and I couldn't use it. So there's no consistency in this menu and I really don't like it. However, overall this camera seems to be really great. Of course, I want to wait to the final review, the final sample I will get to review, but it seems they really made even better camera than it was before. In this price point, I think it's one of the best options on the market. I think many videographers, hybrid shooters, content creators will be very happy with this new camera. What I think is that it won't be easy for this camera to conquer the market. On the other hand, even though it's really great, many photographers may be happy with R6 Mark II. That's a much cheaper camera and still great. And when it comes to the video, I think also Lumix S1 Mark II is just slightly more expensive, but offers basically much more, maybe less resolution, but all the other aspects is basically much better camera. So how about the new RF 45 f1.2 lens? Well, I didn't also have much time to test it out, but it seems it offers really great quality. When you use f1.2, it's not the sharpest on the market, but it's sharp enough, especially for at its price point. But when you close the aperture to 1.6 or maybe even 1.8, it offers really superb details, sharpness. I like the overall feeling, look of this lens. F1.8 is really like top notch. The bokeh is impressive, it's very smooth, very nice. I like the shape of bokeh. It's also very lightweight and small, and of course it is not the top L series. It is not, probably I think it's not even weather resistant, I'm not sure about it. And if you look at it, you can see that there is some front element going up and down inside. However, the autofocus with the new R6 Mark III operates very smooth and very well. I didn't have any issue with this. I didn't notice any significant vignetting at f1.2. In general, my first opinion on this lens, it seems this is one of the best lenses on the market that offers a great quality for the price. And that's something that Canon users really needed to have a cheap and high quality lenses, because in Canon you have cheap lenses which are not very good and you have lenses which are very good, but for sure they are very expensive. This lens is good and cheap and small, and this is what we all need. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. Please let me know in the comments what do you think about the new releases from Canon, what do you think about this video. Leave me thumbs up and subscription if you didn't already do so, and we see each other in the next videos at my channel. Bye.